Hey, what's up, guys? Super excited to have Sabrina Torres in here to really shed some light and give us some knowledge bombs on the platform LinkedIn, which is pretty foreign to most people who aren't in the corporate world, I would say. If you guys are on the replay, give me a hashtag replay. If you have any questions for Sabrina, even on the replay or live, you can drop them below. But Sabrina, firstly, actually, I just want to let people know we met at Funnel Hacking Live.
Yeah.
Um, I've met a lot of people there, like everyone I know. If people don't know who you are, can you kind of explain why you're awesome, and then real quickly what you do?
So I'm Sabrina Torres. I am the owner of Be Truly Social, a social media marketing company. So I help businesses and nonprofits with all of their social media marketing, but I mainly focus on organic social media marketing. And then I also have a program called Be Truly Linked, where I show people how to get business using LinkedIn.
Gotcha. And it's so right now, LinkedIn, is that your jam?
Oh, it's so my jam. It's how I pretty much completely built my business. I think over 50% of my current clients were from LinkedIn.
Wow. Okay. So like majority of your like per platform, how much would you say like resources time you're devoting? Like LinkedIn, is it like over 50% or?
So, yeah, um, honestly, what's interesting is I get most of my business from LinkedIn and I spend probably less time on it than I do Facebook, but that's because Facebook is big time suck.
Yes, there's other
But
things going
it
on.
doesn't require a lot of time investment to use LinkedIn and really get results.
Okay, gotcha. So that makes this interview to be exciting. So for someone who doesn't, like, they say they've been living in a cave meditating for 20 years and they just came out and they're like, "What's LinkedIn?" Can you kind of like just share why it's awesome and what it's evolving into? And um,
Right.
yeah,
So most people, when they think about LinkedIn, think it's a professional slash boring social media platform where people are looking for jobs and they post their resumes. So that's kind of like the old way of really thinking about LinkedIn. And I feel like that's where a lot of people are stuck thinking about LinkedIn. But what LinkedIn really is a professional networking platform. So it's a place where people can be introduced to and meet other professionals. And for most of us, I'm assuming most of the people in this particular group, they're looking to meet other business owners. And LinkedIn is full of them. So pretty much it's a place where you can connect with people who own businesses and actually talk about professional business things without it being weird, like on Facebook, and people feel like you're spamming them.
gotcha. So what are the typical, like, what kind of expectations should you have if you're using LinkedIn as far as like people connecting with you? Like how much do you need to use the platform to actually like see results from it, you think?
So the really unique thing about LinkedIn is the connections that you're allowed to make. So when you first join, you can only connect with people who you have an email address for. So you can only connect with people you already know. Those are called your first connect. Then from there, you can only ask to connect with people who are connected with your first connection. So you have to have some kind of an association with somebody to try to connect with them. So when you first join, it's going to be mostly people you know, and don't be afraid to add a bunch of people you don't even like have, a great relationship with or anything like that. Really, in the beginning, you just want to connect with as many people as possible so that your circle is bigger. So that when you start connecting with more like specific types of people, the circle of people that you're allowed to reach out to is wider.
Gotcha. So how does LinkedIn know your first connections? By email, you said?
Yes. So when you first join, you have the option of basically connecting with your email, and it will pull up your email address like list, and you can connect with everybody on there. So that's how it first does it.
Gotcha. What do you think is like a good amount of time, like if you're new to LinkedIn, to kind of devote daily to like using it and like making connections, etc.?
So once you have your profile optimized. And once you kind of have a decent rhythm going, 20 minutes a day and you're good.
Gotcha. Cool. So let's just so we don't go too far ahead. Someone doesn't have a LinkedIn account right now. And my group, obviously, a lot of podcasters. What's up, whoever that is, anonymous? Give me a hashtag live if you're here. I should probably pull up the Facebook so I can see who's commenting real quick. But let's say, so you want to use it to grow your network, whether it's to interview people or to just get listeners on your show, etc. What is the first, like, most important steps to take when you're creating your LinkedIn account, other than connecting, obviously, like optimizing your profile, so to speak?
Yeah, I would actually caution people when they first join, it's going to prompt you to like go connect with people right away. Don't do that, because if you don't have your profile set up, it's not good. So skip all the connecting and just focus on the profile. And the main things that you want to have on your profile are your profile picture that is, not a selfie. You want, it doesn't have to be professional, just you don't want like the awkward arm reaching out thing. So just prop your phone up, take a picture. That's better. You want a banner photo as well, and or a cover photo, whatever you want to call it. And that, keep it simple. Again, doesn't have to be any big deal. You just don't want that to be blank. And then from there, you've got to fill out your title. That's where you get, that's probably like the hardest thing for most people, is filling out the title in a way that like attracts people. And then your summary, and the rest of it is probably the thing that people think most about, which is like the resume type part, which you're just talking about like your experience. And I think for most people in this group, you're going to fill that out in a way that's very different than like you're used to traditionally thinking about resumes. So like pretty much take all of the resume idea and kind of like throw it out the window as much as possible. And talk more about like what you're doing now. Focus on what you're doing now, because there's like a space where it asks for skills, right? Don't list every skill you've ever had. If, oh, I'm so sorry if you hear a lawnmower right now. Um, yeah, focus on the skills that you like are currently using or want to be using, and not on like your entire work history.
Gotcha. What's up, Samantha from Samantha Brown, what's up? What are you guys talking about? We're talking about LinkedIn and how Sabrina used it to grow her business, but there's honestly, it's just to grow your network. And the network could be a lot of things. It could be business in several ways, whether it's getting guests for your show or getting listeners, just building an audience, like attention. Like if you're a marketer here, like you want attention. So wherever it's at, grab it. We got 6 people here. Give me a hashtag live if you're on live. So I want to talk about, is there any like integration softwares you use in the start to help you out in this process of like when you do like have your LinkedIn optimized and you do start making connections? Because I don't use LinkedIn a lot. It's not my main source of juice right now. I'm gonna start using it, but I hear people talk about how they complain how they get so many messages, and like how do you separate yourself from other messages, and how do you do it the right way, etc.
So I do not use any programs. Everything I do is organic. And I know that makes a lot of people go, oh, that's so much work. It's really not that much work. And, you get out of things what you put in. So if you are completely automating your LinkedIn, sure, you might get some things out of it, but you're going to really miss out. So, especially because LinkedIn has like a very trigger finger on banning people.
Oh,
So
really?
be careful if you're doing any automation. So I don't use any. And when it
I've heard of LinkedIn Helper. Is that you don't recommend it? Okay.
I've seen way too many people kicked out. Um, I was doing everything organically, and LinkedIn took my account for 2 weeks because I was moving too quickly, like as a real person.
You're on
So
social media too much.
they're like, you are looking at too many profiles. You must be a bot. And it's really, especially if that's like a great source of referrals and,
Yeah.
incoming for you. Those 2 weeks were
So what?
Scary.
So what are like I guess guidelines you would say to follow? Like make this many connections a day. Like what would you recommend?
So you actually like LinkedIn, if you go and look, it actually does have specific guidelines. Like you can't I believe like 200 a day is really like the limit of where you'd want to go on how many connections you try to make. If you are just starting out, don't go and try 200 in the first day. You're going to freak LinkedIn out. Like they're
Yeah.
basically going to think that all of a sudden you started to use a bot. So I recommend like day one, start with 20, reach out to 20. Day two, reach out to 30. Day three, reach out to 50. Like build on it a little bit so that LinkedIn basically has a moment to get used to you using it and doesn't just automatically think you're a bot. So yeah, 200 a day is like the max. You can only have 3,000 connection requests out at any time. So if you've built up a ton from like the past, you can actually go in and like take back those requests so you can send out more. Um, you
Gotcha.
don't want to like I don't know them off the top of my head, but there actually are like written down you cannot do more than X actions per day on LinkedIn. So you want to stay within those guides.
Yeah, I know Instagram's like that too right now. They're pretty hardcore. What's up, Zeki? What's up, Sachin, Ingrid? Samantha, don't know what bit means, but sounds like slang. I have a so let's say you make these connections. What are your checklists that you run through when you connect with people? Like, are you messaging them when they accept it? How do you like deepen these relationships with people?
So this is probably the most important part is the first thing you say to somebody, right? And I tell people think of this as a networking party, right? You walk up to somebody at a networking party, shake their hand and say, "Hey, thanks for connecting with me. Go check me out on Facebook."
Let's
No,
close
nobody
them.
does that. It's awkward and weird and nobody wants to respond to that message because you're not giving them anything to respond to. So the key to a great first LinkedIn message, keep it short and give them something to tell you. So for me, I'm going to tell you guys my little trick. I just thank them for connecting with me, say hello, tell them I'd love to learn more about them. Are you working on anything right now that you're really excited about? I
Cool.
just gave them the perfect reason to write back to me because who doesn't want to talk about what they're working on right now? Because they're thinking, she just gave me the perfect in to pitch to her, right? So they're telling me about their latest project, their new program, their new business, whatever they're excited about. And it opens the door for me to then have a actual like have a real conversation with them.
Yeah, you make it more of a dance. Like you allow them to make the first move, and then from there, it's just a natural conversation. I like that
Yes.
because I'm sure the first message, getting that response, is key.
Mhm.
Um, when they see your message, because I know like in Messenger or whatever, like you see the first like 20 characters or so those are important. Is LinkedIn operate the same way, where they're like looking at like a preview before they read it, or
Yeah. So
okay,
that's one of the reasons why you don't want it to be too long and you don't want the first part to be too stiff.
gotcha. Oh, Amelia says someone sent me an audio clip via LinkedIn. Have you seen this option? Actually, I want to ask, can you do like video or audio clips? Because I actually do some outreach to people on Instagram, and even Facebook every once in a while, and video works so well. Just because like on Instagram, like they see your face, they see your personality, and they feel reciprocated to respond. You're not just like a bot. Is that possible on LinkedIn?
Yes, you can absolutely send a video
Boom.
um, and say hello. My only caution there would be to really think about who you are reaching out to and talking to. If there is a chance that the people that you're dealing with are in an office setting, they're less likely to click on that.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Um, so let's say you've built up a connection. How many connections can you have, by the way? Because I know Facebook's capped, but
Um, that's a good question. I think there's a cap somewhere, but I'm at like 11,000, almost 12,000, and I know I'm not near the top even close. So you can
boom.
have a ton of connections on LinkedIn.
Gotcha. If you guys have any questions for Sabrina while we're here, drop them below. So let's say you have a lot of connection. Like, when should you start posting content? Like, when you have what amount of connections?
What do you mean?
Like, should you just start posting content from the start, like on your feed, etc.?
Yeah,
Okay,
you definitely want to have a few things up, and so that when people go to your profile, when you try to connect with them, there's something to see besides just like what you've put in your profile. You want to start taking action immediately on the platform itself. So interacting with whoever you are connected with and actually posting.
gotcha. Man, I kind of wish this was a screen share now because I know like UI is an important thing and knowing how to navigate. Um, because I had a problem when I was like going to people's profiles. I didn't like Facebook makes it obvious, like your feed's right there. It
Right.
didn't seem so obvious on LinkedIn. Like I had to like search like a little box like to see what they're posting and stuff. Um, would you say that's super important to be posting a lot of content or
Um,
like
the good thing about LinkedIn is that it is more content starved than any other platform. So you are going to get more bang for your buck there. Your
gotcha.
content lasts longer in the feed there than on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram because there aren't as many people regularly on the platform posting content, which is like amazing news for anybody who creates great content, right? It's going to like completely, you know, stay at the top. So really content is very important and like just I cannot tell you how easy it is for video content on LinkedIn.
I've seen it. I've seen some things go viral. I'm like, that was some basic ass content.
Yeah,
Um,
great.
how would you what is the discoverability like? Like how do people is it only your connections see it or is there sharing happening? Is there hashtagging or
So there is hashtagging now. I'm testing to see still if that's effective. Like I actually am testing out what happens when I hashtag, what happens when I don't hashtag, because I'm not entirely convinced that hashtagging is like super effective on the platform yet. They're still working that out. However, your second connections will often see your content because let's say I post something and one of my first connections likes it or says something, their connections will see that on their feed.
whoa, that's cool. Really neat. Without tagging them. Just from
Correct.
them.
Ju-
Oh,
And often people will interact with your content not realizing you aren't their first connection. So a lot of times go through, like, let's say you post something, look at your comments and see, okay, did people comment who are second connections? Great, go connect with them. You've already had a conversation with them. Makes it super easy.
yeah. And I actually doesn't LinkedIn give you cool data too as far as who's viewing it and stuff? Because a buddy showed me he was like, this many marketing professionals are looking at your whatever or um what kind of data do they give?
Um, Basic for if you are on like the free, platform. If you pay, of course, you get more. I actually stick with the free. It does the job for me. Um, but it still does tell you like a lot of fun facts as far as like even X amount of people from this particular company looked at your profile this week. Like it's really interesting.
Gotcha. So what is would you say the top thing you learned from because you had a lot of your clients from LinkedIn. How are they like differed? Was it, them reaching out to you or you reaching out to them? Like what's been the most successful strategy and like how does that process? Like are you getting them on a call and then you just
Yeah.
go from there? Okay.
So there are two ways I get people from LinkedIn. One is through my outreach, through sending that first message, starting the conversation. That's where you get more into sales than marketing, as far as like how do you have that conversation to get them on the phone. Get them off LinkedIn as soon as possible. Like don't just keep chatting on there. Get them on the phone as soon as you can. That has worked very well for me. The other way is just by being a connection of mine for a long time. They see my content, and I've had people eventually reach out to me saying, I've been connected with you for 4 months, 6 months, and I knew that when I was ready, you were the person I wanted to talk to. That's why that content piece is so important because when you first connect to somebody, they may not be at that point, right? So by staying at top of mind through your content on their feed, when they're ready, they reach out to you.
Awesome. Cool. Cool. So I have a few more questions before we wrap here up here because I know you're a busy lady. Um, One thing I want to know is people who work with you or, just in what you do, what do you feel like makes you unique? Like, what is it that people love what you do that makes you special?
I think my relational approach is what makes me very unique, especially because um, I really do focus on organic social media marketing, which is a little bit rare, I feel. And I'm all about like community building and brand building. And I really take that. I mean, my business is called Be Truly Social. I take a very relational, social approach to everything.
That's awesome. That's cool. What right now? It doesn't have to be about LinkedIn, but just like in the space is like exciting you as far as like opportunity or just like something to like hop on.
I still feel, and this is LinkedIn related,
Okay,
I
that's
still
good.
feel like LinkedIn is a little bit Wild West. Like you can still get in on that platform and get an audience and be very successful there in a short period of time compared to any other platform, I think, at this moment that is more professionally based.
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel like Instagram's kind of cluttered right now. Um, is Facebook, and yeah, I agree with you. I'm gonna have to test your theory here soon. So, is there any questions that I didn't ask you that you would want to talk about LinkedIn?
Um, I think that mostly covered it. I mean, I think the one thing I would want to leave everyone with is to like just go in there and try it. I feel like there's like almost this phobia surrounding LinkedIn where especially if you were introduced to it in like a corporate job, people really seem to hate it when they're coming from the corporate side. So you have to kind of retrain your mind to think of it in a completely different way if you're approaching it as an entrepreneur.
Gotcha. And I think that's an opportunity too, because then everyone who's on it has big pain points and they're really trying to solve, they have a lot of problems. So if you can be presented as that solution, um, is it mostly, real quick, do most people use it on mobile or desktop? Is it like a mix or?
Um, I think it's a mix, and it again will depend on your audience. So if your audience is more of the corporate side, you're going to have more people on their desktop. If you're dealing mostly with entrepreneurs, it's going to be mobile.
Gotcha. Oh, look who's here. Molly's here. We're gonna Molly Hale. Oh,
Hi.
hi, friend. I'm chatting with her tomorrow, which is pretty exciting. She's a Uh, I think of Molly. I think of you like a firework. You just always have a lot of energy.
Yes.
Cool. So, do you use it mostly on mobile, like LinkedIn, when you're using it for business,
I
etc.?
do.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. I hate
Oh,
using.
quick tip. If you try to connect with people on your laptop, it's going to prompt you to send a message every time with your connection request. If you do it on mobile, it doesn't do that, so you can do it quicker.
Like sending a message.
Like it doesn't make you send a message.
Oh, okay. Do you recommend like when you send a connection to
Um,
send a message or?
I test it and I tell everybody to test because your target audience may be different. My target audience doesn't seem to care if I send a connection request with a message or without. So I send them without, it saves time.
Gotcha. And then you just allow your content to kind of like speak to them, etc.
Well, my profile's really amazing. So they clearly want to be connected with me.
Yeah, check out Sabrina's profile for an example, guys. Cool. Thanks so much for doing this. Before we end this, is there any place you want to direct people who want to follow you? Do opt into anything you have, etc.
Yeah, you can, of course, find me on LinkedIn, Sabrina Torres. You can find me everywhere else at Be Truly Social. And if you're interested in talking to me specifically about my LinkedIn program, it's www.betrulysocial.com/linked.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing all your knowledge, Sabrina. If you guys are on the replay, can you hashtag replay tag Sabrina if you liked it? And then cool. Thanks so much. I'm going to end the broadcast.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.